Her hand was already in his, fingers cool, skin marked with the faint shimmer of ceremonial ink. Cal's pulse thudded against her palm, a desperate human rhythm. The observation lounge was empty, but for them, the ship's failing gravity making every movement a negotiation. Lysera's gaze, sharp as a blade, lingered on his mouth. He could taste the ozone in the air, the ghost of her breath, the unspoken dare between them. For a moment, the universe shrank to the space between their faces. He almost kissed her. Almost. It turned out the night had started with nothing but nerves and a glass of synth rye. Cal Brennick, jobless and drifting, had chosen the Mistral drift for its cheap passage and the promise of anonymity. Instead, he found himself orbiting a woman who looked like she'd stepped out of a legend. Lysera of House Venquar, an exiled Arcani ambassador, her tattoos catching the blue glow of a flickering holosign. She sat across from him, posture perfect, eyes unreadable. The jazz leaking from the overhead speakers was warped, skipping every third note. He tried not to stare at her ears, elegant, arched, nothing like his own. Their first words tangled. He asked if she wanted a drink. She replied in clipped standard, correcting his pronunciation. He apologized. She smirked. The air between them was charged, awkward, and alive. He fumbled a joke about the ship's gravity, and she countered with a story about Arcani dueling customs, how a single misstep could mean exile. He laughed too loud. She didn't. But then something shifted. Lysera leaned in, elbows on the table, her voice dropping to a private register. "Tell me a truth," she said, her accent softening. "A real one, no performance." He hesitated. The ship's hull vibrated beneath him, a low, constant hum. He looked at her hands, long, graceful, scarred at the knuckles. "I'm afraid," he said, voice barely above a whisper, "of dying out here, of not mattering, of being just another name on a passenger list." She didn't flinch. Instead, she reached across the table, her fingers brushing his wrist. The contact was electric, skin meeting skin, human warmth against alien coolness. For a second, he forgot the ache in his chest. Then the ship's AI shattered the moment. "Security breach detected. All non-human passengers, prepare for inspection." The doors hissed open. 3 corporate enforcers strode in, boots heavy, visors down. Lysera's posture went rigid. Cal's heart hammered. He acted before he could think. "She's with me," he blurted, the voice cracking. "We're engaged. Just got approved for union status." The lie hung in the air, absurd and fragile. The enforcers paused, scanning their faces. Lysera's eyes widened, but she didn't miss a beat. She slid her hand into his, squeezing hard enough to hurt. "Yes," she said, her standard flawless now. "We are promised." The moment stretched, breathless. The enforcers, bored or fooled, moved on. Cal exhaled, dizzy with relief. Lysera didn't let go. Truth is, the game had changed. The line between performance and reality blurred, and neither of them knew what would happen next. But in that stolen moment, with the ship's gravity flickering and the taste of fear still sharp on his tongue, Cal realized he didn't want to let go either. The docking clamps shuddered, sending a tremor through the hull. A callous spindle loomed outside the viewport, a ring of light in motion, spinning above the gas giant's swirling clouds. Cal's hand was still in hers as they stepped into the station's gravity, the world tilting back to normal. Lysera's grip lingered, her thumb tracing the line of his knuckle, as if memorizing the shape of him before the next lie. They moved together through the crowds, humans, Arcani, and everything in between. Neon signs flickered. The air tasted of fried synthetics and engine coolant. Cal's nerves buzzed. He tried to focus on the mission, but every brush of her shoulder against his sent a new current through him. Krelvone waited in a shadowed alcove, half his face replaced by chrome and circuitry. Lysara greeted him in her own tongue, voice low and urgent. Cal caught only fragments, words for hope, lineage, risk. Krell's eyes flicked to Cal, then to the small, sealed vial Lysara pressed into his palm. The genetic seed, the future of her people, disguised as a trinket. The exchange was quick. No one noticed. Or maybe everyone pretended not to. Afterward, they found themselves adrift in the station's endless night. The adrenaline faded, leaving only exhaustion and the ache of things unsaid. Lysara led him to a floating noodle cart, its owner humming along to a static-filled love song. They ate in silence at first, the broth spicy enough to sting his lips. She watched him, her expression softer now, the diplomat's mask slipping. He broke first. "You could have done this alone." She shook her head, a strand of silver hair falling across her cheek. "No one does anything alone." Not really. He wanted to reach for her, but his hands felt clumsy, too human. Instead he asked, "What happens now?" Lysara's gaze dropped to her bowl. "I disappear. The Arcani need the seed. If I'm caught, it's over, for all of us." The words hung between them, heavy and real. He saw the weight she carried, the exile, the mission, the fear, and something else. Loneliness, maybe, or hope. He tried to smile. "You're braver than I am." She looked up, eyes shining. "You're wrong. You risked everything for a stranger." He wanted to tell her she wasn't a stranger anymore, that the space between them felt smaller now, charged with something he couldn't name. But the station's crowd pressed in, and time was running out. She reached into her coat, pulling out a small silver beacon. She pressed it into his palm, her fingers lingering. "One use. If you ever need me." He closed his hand around it, the metal warm from her touch. "Will I see you again?" A pause, then, softly, "If the universe is kind." They stood, the moment stretching, fragile and bright. She leaned in, her lips brushing his cheek. So quick, so gentle, it almost didn't happen, but it did. He felt it everywhere. Then she was gone, slipping into the crowd, her silhouette swallowed by the station's neon haze. Cal watched her go, the beacon heavy in his pocket. The ache in his chest was different now. Less fear, more longing, more alive. As his shuttle pulled away from Callus' spindle, the stars outside seemed closer, the void less empty. He wasn't drifting anymore. Not really.